Okay, ladies, thank you so much for being so patient. And we go ahead and start the class. I'm going to try my best not to go over 8 o'clock too much because I know I could ramble on and on. I want to say thank you, ladies, for supporting the event, supporting this whole month journey. We're at the final class. And I want to say hurrah, 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 hurrah to you, ladies. You guys took a chance in investing in your future. And I just want to say again, thank you for being part of this. There are going to be so many more events that's going to come up. And like I had told you in the very first class, I'm going to work on doing the investment tour, and we're going to do it in Florida. Many of you guys, I looked at the first survey that I sent, and you guys mostly expressed interest here. Y'all don't really care about going outside of Florida, and that's okay because there's tons and tons of deals outside of Florida that I want to share with you. And so please stay tuned. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start the class. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to, raise your hand in the chat and let's go. So today's class is called Ownership Structures, Protection, and Legacy. So now that you guys, have gotten information, have learned how to invest as like a strategist, like a pro, you're going to go ahead and, excuse me one second. Oh, okay. No. Okay, you're going to go ahead and you want to structure yourself, you want to protect, you want to shield yourself because in the past classes, I've used examples of, your tenant sleeping in the middle of the night and the roof collapses on them. And I told you that, certain cases, well, in those cases, you want to shield yourself because you don't want to leave yourself completely exposed. So we're going to go ahead and talk about those, the legalities of how you should shield yourself. What I want to disclose this disclaimer. I am not an attorney. I am not a CPA. I can give you some advice with as of my experience as a real estate agent and a mortgage broker, and just a smidge in doing taxes as I do taxes every year for the last I don't know how many years. Please forgive me. I don't know. There's like a cold going on some in the air, and I got bitten by it. So we're gonna go ahead and move forward. So first things first is buying, oh my God, buying in under your name versus buying in an LLC. So when you buy in under your name, um, you have ownership the fastest. Meaning, if you decide that your neighbor says, "Hey, Tanisha, I'm about to move out. I'll sell this house to you half of what it's worth," and Tanisha's gonna be like, "Dang, that's a steal." So if her house is worth, let's just say her house is worth 200,000, and the gentleman or the lady is looking to split and move, or she's in an emergency and she has to move, and she decides to sell this house to Tanisha. Tanisha doesn't have to wait to go for, if she decides to do it under her name, she can go ahead, write a contract, and the very next day she can go apply for a loan. Now, that is the fastest and the very easiest way for ownership, just to put everything under your name. You close in 30 days or less. And if you have a really great mortgage broker, you could probably be closed in, 20 to 25 days. Now, when you're buying under your name, you have personal credit and tax returns used for financing. So when you're using your personal credit, you're not using your business credit. You're using your Experian, your TransUnion, and your Equifax. And then you're using your W-2s, your 1099s, and your tax return. Now, if you are 1099, what that means is that they do not withhold your taxes, your Medicare or your Social Security. And so, and when you filing those type of taxes, the lender may ask you for your full tax returns to see exactly what you deducted from your taxes to see how you filed. That's what I want to say. The next thing is all liabilities fall on you personally. So what exactly does that mean? Like I said, if your tenant is sleeping in the middle of the night, the roof collapses and falls on him, that person can go after every single asset that you own. If you have multiple houses here in Cape Town, in the Turks and Caicos, they're gonna try to go after all of those properties and all your assets to justify the liability. The assets, your assets are exposed, like I mentioned, in lawsuits. So everything become exposed. They're going to ask you for your bank statements. They're going to ask you for your savings, whether it's in a CD, in an IRA, in a 401k, mutual funds. Everything is laid out on the table to see what your net worth is, to see, and if they have a case, they're going to award that the person who's pursuing the lawsuit against you, they're going to make a claim to that money. And if you're going through a divorce and you have these properties, everything becomes fair game, because if you didn't purchase these properties before you got married, I mean, like, let's say that you guys went in half or whatever, or you own these property. You know what? I have a better example for you for divorce proceedings. There's a gentleman that I met. I met, young guy. His mother asked him, "Hey, I need you to put this house underneath your name because just in case something happens to me and I get deported back to Haiti, I don't want to lose my house. Just put the house under your name." So he says, "Okay, no problem. You got it." And then he ends up marrying, he brought someone from the country, from Haiti to the United States. Shortly years after they got married, she became a trucker. There was no reason for her to be a trucker because they had ample money. He worked hours, he had investments, but she ended up having an extramarital affair while she was truck driving. And so, even though she cheated on him, she tried to make a claim to the house. However, they worked it out that he didn't lose the house, but he almost lost his mother's house because it was under his name. So those are the things that you want to think about when you're buying under your name. Now, next thing is estate. When you pass away, the property is now called your estate, and it goes through probate. Anybody who knows about probate takes a very long time. If you have a big family, and you didn't put your affairs in order, and now you might have like a greedy sibling or a greedy kid that wants to take everything, and it also becomes public. It's public knowledge. People who may not even talk to you for years, your brother, your sister, even your mom. Like, let's say your parents, you didn't get along with your parents in your adult years, and they see that you are going through probate and it's made public. They could try to make a claim to that. And the longer that the more people who make a claim to your estate, the longer the probate takes. So that's one of the downfalls of buying under your name. And then it's a lot easier for mortgage qualification through conventional lending. However, I want to say this: lenders are becoming a lot more friendlier to LLCs, and they actually want you to close in LLCs. So if you're going to go to like traditional lenders, like your retailers, like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, your credit union, they're going to tell you you need to close under your name, and then you could go ahead and quit claim the property onto an LLC. So, but if you don't use traditional lenders like the big banks, you can actually put it under an LLC and perfectly fine and close at a very reasonable time. Now, the benefits of closing under an LLC is it creates legal separation between you and your asset. So I don't know if you've been noticing these TikTokers and these influencers. What they've been doing is they put all their assets underneath their mom. Think of your LLC like your mom. You put your house, you put all the properties that you have under an LLC, and you look like you're broke, but you're balling out under your LLC. And that's exactly how you should structure it, because in the event, God forbid, one of your properties happen and your tenant gets hurt and they try to make a claim against you personally, they cannot, because you don't own anything. Everything is underneath the LLC. And if you talk to your CPA or your certified public accountant or an attorney, the way you structure it, you can structure it where it's not traceable back to you. It just keeps, you can actually set it up where the owner of that LLC is another corporation. But that is a conversation that you have with your accountant. Your next thing is when you buy under an LLC, all of your personal assets become shielded by the LLC. Reason being because if you have an LLC, chances are you're going to have a business account. You're going to have a business portfolio, and all of those major assets will go there. And you might maybe pay yourself like a salary or something that you use for your personal use. It looks good professionally. When you are trying to acquire a loan, or you're trying to acquire a commercial property, and you're trying to get a much larger loan through a lender that specializes in commercial lending, they like to see the professionalness that all of your properties are under this LLC. The flexibility in your tax returns. So when you have an LLC, you can claim all those repairs, which we're going to talk about in this presentation, under your tax returns. Your depreciation, the repairs that it took for you to fix the property, renting it out, all those things, you get to claim that in your taxes. The pass-through income goes directly to your personal tax return. So if you have an LLC, hi, Miss Bev, thanks for joining. We just started. So we're talking about buying under your name versus an LLC, and you can catch the beginning of it on the replay. So when you are filing your taxes under an LLC, depending on the type of LLC, it would actually be filed with your personal under a Schedule C, and all of your whatever the income is actually shown under your personal taxes, but you have a special schedule just for your investment company. So the bottom line is, for women, building wealth through real estate or business ownership, an LLC is frequently more strategic in the long term. Even if you start small, the protection it provides far outweighs the setup cost. It typically costs it. I put $50 to $200, but it would cost you about $250 to start an LLC if you guys did it under the Sunbiz. You should definitely consult with an attorney to get the uh, legal understanding of how you should structure it, and that attorney and the CPA will guide you better. Again, I just want to disclose that I am not an attorney and I'm not an accountant. I do have some experience as a real estate agent and a mortgage broker, and I do taxes every year for the last, I don't know, 15 years. So let's talk about the basics of an LLC. So with the LLC, you can have multiple properties or multiple business ventures under one umbrella. That is a very powerful and unutilized structure available to you. Many people don't know that. Very few people know that. So I'm going to discuss that with you. So when you think of a series LLC, think of a master LLC with subcomponents. Each one of those components legally separate you from one another. One property, one series, another property, another series. It's like an octopus. The octopus has its head, which is the parent, and then it has its tentacles. Think of those business ventures as the tentacle, or an umbrella, the umbrella that houses all these ventures. So if somebody tries to target one of those series or one of those businesses, all the others become protected. So you are legally insulated from one another when you do that. So how it works is, you have one master LLC filing for multiple protected sales or businesses or ventures. Each series can own separate properties or ventures. Creditors of one series or one venture cannot touch the others, generally speaking. And simplified administration versus forming multiple separate LLCs. So by having this parent company, everything is under that one master LLC. So who benefits from doing this? Who benefits is, when you have rental properties and you have this portfolio, as you're growing your property, you can actually shield each property under each series. Again, I'm going to put a disclaimer out there. You want to talk to an attorney or an accountant to give you legal advice on that. I'm just giving you some, information. Now, entrepreneurs who have multiple streams of income, that would benefit them. And women like yourself who's looking to build wealth across any asset class. So you want to protect yourself because I don't know if you guys are looking at the news. It's really tough out there for women now. You got women unfortunately getting unalived. Some women are losing their assets because they might to their partners because they might be the sole breadwinner. And you have law firms that specialize in now helping men tap into the wealth of women's assets and paying them alimony. That is a thing. I have a friend that's currently going through that. She's trying to purchase a property in Maryland, and she's shielding her assets so she doesn't have to pay any child support to her husband or ex-husband, I should say. And then also investors who are seeking cost-effective legal separation, people who are trying to find a way to protect themselves, to shield themselves in the event of future liabilities. Um, Also, this is available currently. This basic LLCs or no, sorry, series LLCs are available in Texas, Delaware, Illinois, Nevada, Wyoming. Florida doesn't have that, but they have what's called holdings. You can actually have a holding company and put all of those ventures underneath that, and it works similar to the series company. So as your company is building wealth, let's say that Miss Tanisha decides to go ahead and buy her first property later this year in Jacksonville, and then she decides to buy her funeral home. She can put all of those real estate entities underneath her holding company. And in the event of, let's say, she might have a disgruntled family member for her funeral home try to sue her, they can't touch her real estate portfolio because they're shielded in its own specific way. So now that we've talked about how to hold your assets, let's talk about what happens when you no longer are here to manage them. We're going to now talk about estate planning and why it's not just for the wealthy. So, who knows what estate planning is? Can anybody tell me what estate planning is? Anybody? Tanisha, you should know. We work in this industry, Tanisha.
Understand it, but I still need more areas because, more development with it. Basically, it's like you said, with putting your house in a particular situation so that it's allocated to the proper family member or sold or split equally to the way that you govern in it. And not only that, your life insurance policies or any debts that you may hold, finalizing that. So I have an understanding, but not like I'm an estate planner.
Okay, okay. I'll cut you a break. I'll cut you a break. Okay, so
I'm in
estate
the middle of
planning.
that right now.
So Miss Anya said, "Nope, I don't know what it is. Go ahead and give it to me. What is estate planning?" So estate planning, like I said, is not only just for the wealthy, it's for everybody. And if you are now going to enter this arena, you want to protect everything that you have amassed because I'm sorry, you don't want leeches that you might not have had relationships with make a claim to your property. Or let's say that you guys might have I don't know y'all personal lives like that. Let's say you might have a spouse and you guys are estranged, and you know how they say it's cheaper to keep her or it's cheaper to keep him, and you're not trying to divorce because it's going to cause a financial, it'll wreak financial havoc on your assets. So you decide that you just want to keep this person. So that's why a lot of people they have gone into estate planning to protect themselves. And it's also an act of love, intentionality for your loved ones, and financial self-respect. It's a well-designed plan that ensures your wealth transfers to the people that you choose in every way and without unnecessary delay or taxation. Because, like I said earlier, with probate, it can take years. The more
Mhm.
people that you have make a claim to that property, the more of a delay it causes. But if you properly have an estate planning attorney by your side and they guide you, you don't you save your family such years of headache and grief. And when you guys get to that point, I will give you an amazing attorney. He's great. He's just so hard to get in touch with. One of these days, I'm gonna try to get him to do a class so you guys can understand the legalities of estate planning. So here are some of the components of estate planning. We're going to talk about revocable living trust, irrevocable trust, testamentary trust, and the essential supporting documents. So the most common trust is your revocable trust. This is common for individuals and families. The reason why I picked on Tanisha is we see it a lot in our industry, in the funeral industry, because I still work that in that as a pre-need counselor. So guys, and I'm not putting a PSA. I do work as a counselor. I do help families pre-plan for their funeral arrangements, and I do give them guidance on what to do in the event that their moms and dads, they not lose their homes, but when their parents transition into the afterlife, that they have the right tools to either save the house, or if they want to know what their options are of getting rid of that. So in our field, we see that a lot, and that's a very common tool or device among individuals and families. And what that does is you have full control during your time that you are alive, and you are very free to make changes at any time. If you, let's say that, oh my God, I found the love of my life and I want to add him in my trust, you can go ahead and make amendments to it and add the love of your life. But then you found out that he was like Clay Thompson and he cheated on you. And you say, you know what? I'm getting rid of this scoundrel. He's no longer being in part of my trust. And the very next day you call up Jason and say, Jason, get rid of this dude. I don't want him in my trust. Now, at death, the assets pass directly to the beneficiaries. So Tanisha set up her revocable living trust. She doesn't have to worry about her kids going through probate. Every kid gets the percentage that she allocated to them. The kids can't go to court and try to fight, say, oh, I want a bigger cut. Nope. Tanisha already knew what she wanted. She said each kid is getting 25% or 20% or 33% of the pie. And the kids just got to deal with it. And so revocable trust, you can make amendments at any time. Now, irrevocable trust, you cannot do that. You need to know exactly what you want to be done. Once you make it irrevocable, you cannot make any changes. The assets are transferred to who you had decided upon. You can't make any changes. These types of trusts are done for those who are doing Medicaid planning, Medicaid, or those who are doing long-term care, because um, if you have a loved one who's looking to get Medicaid or long-term care, and long-term care is a type of insurance that will allow your loved ones to go into an assisted living facility, or will pay for someone to come into your house when you are advanced in your years. However, you got to show that you're broke. So your attorney, speak to an attorney about that if you have a loved one who might need that type of help. They can tell you exactly how to spin down your assets in order to get long-term care. But these types of those are for Medicaid planning, long-term care, life insurance, trust. That's what these are for. These are great for shielding your creditors so they don't come after your assets. Now, testamentary trust, that is created through your will and activated at the time of your death. It is useful for leaving assets to minor children or beneficiaries who may need managed distribution over time. It does go through probate, but then provides ongoing structure for the heirs. So what I would say to you girls is, you want to consult an attorney to know what is your best option. Some attorneys will say that you don't necessarily need a trust if you don't have anything, but since we're talking about developing generational wealth, you want to have that because you don't want leeches coming after everything that you've acquired. Now, the essential, supporting documents that you guys or ladies will need, you need a durable power of attorney, which you can have that drafted by an attorney. If you already know exactly how you want it drafted, there are legal vehicles or legal tools that you can actually pay a lot less than using attorney if you know exactly how you want that power of attorney to be drafted. You also need, does somebody ask a question?
No, I was thinking.
Oh, you're thinking out loud. Got you. Okay, so another thing that you're going to need for your for one of these trusts is a healthcare directive, a living will. So what's going to happen to you in the event that you're incapacitated and you cannot think for yourself? So that also goes inside of the trust because if you no longer have your mental faculties, you need an executor of the trust to carry out your wishes. And then you also want to have a HIPAA authorization. So whoever is the executor is allowed to have information from your physicians, the medical professional team to talk to them because without that, they're not going to be able to talk to you and you're incapacitated. So to get to all three of those together, your wishes will be honored, your health, your finances, and also the way how you want to be treated in your final days. So that's your trust and estate planning overview. Now, let us talk about asset protection concepts. So, like I mentioned to
One
you,
question, Kathleen.
yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay. Go
Quick
ahead.
question.
Sure.
If you had a power of attorney already in place and then you decide to do the will, I mean not the will, the trust,
Right.
which one supersedes each other? Which one overrides, or is it co-mingled together if it's not done by the same attorney?
Okay, so remember the revocable is the one that you can amend at any time. You can make a
Mm-hmm.
change today, and then oh my God, at 3 o'clock in the morning, you had this epiphany. You can make a change again. But remember, the irrevocable trust, it does not. You cannot once you set it forth, you cannot make any additional changes after that. So
Okay.
I am not an attorney. I can refer
Mm-hmm.
you to an attorney that can assist you with that, and they
Mm-hmm.
can tell you what your best options are based on your circumstance. The
Okay.
me, I'm going to say that either the revocable or the irrevocable, and again, I am not an attorney. In my opinion, I think that that supersedes the testamentary trust because it starts off as a will, and with a will, it doesn't automatically kick in when you pass away. You actually have to file it with the court first, and that I don't know how long that takes time, but it doesn't pass through immediately like a trust would. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I'm understanding. Yeah.
Okay, and what I can do is I'll give you an attorney that you can talk to that can give you some advice on that. Actually, I'll give you three attorneys.
Yeah, I have one I'm using. I just wanted to see which one
Super.
overrides each other because we're in the process of finalizing right now. So,
Oh, okay, okay. All right,
yeah,
so now we're
thank you.
gonna, no problem, my pleasure. So now we're gonna talk about asset protection. So building wealth is only half of the equation. Keeping it is the other half. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So um all right, so the liability separation. So liability separation, it keeps your personal and your business assets separate, separate from each other, separate legal entities. Um, you never want to use your LLC bank account for personal expenses. This is a corporate veil that was designed to protect you as a line of defense. It's as a veil. A veil is something that hides or shields people from actually seeing you. So that LLC bank account is supposed to protect you from what people from your personal assets. So if they see that you're buying like Chanel bags or you're buying, all these lavish things, they're gonna ask you, well, what is this for? And even if you say, hey, this was a gift for someone, they may ask you for documentation that it was a gift. Like, who did you give it to? When did you give it to them? How did you give it to them? And so they may ask you those type of questions, even if you say, oh, it was a gift to somebody, but to who? And then um so that is something that you don't want to commingle with your personal and your business assets. Next thing up is your homestead exemption. This is something that you ladies know pretty well since you own your own homes. With homestead exemption, It's one of the most powerful asset protection tools in the entire country. Florida offers unlimited homestead protection from most creditors on your primary residence. So if someone wins a judgment against you, they generally cannot force the sale of your Florida home to satisfy it. Now, if you should have investment properties, they're not subject to homestead exemption. So that's why it's very important that you set up your businesses um, legally safe so you are not, creditors don't come after your property. So again, your homestead exemption protects your primary home from creditors going after it, and then the LLC, depending on how you structure it, and if you have multiple, will protect your businesses and your ventures from creditors coming after it. So nobody can come after your real estate if your homestead is protecting your primary, and then your LLCs is protecting your investment properties. Now, your retirement accounts. Your retirement accounts, you have your 401ks, your IRAs, your SEP IRAs are often protected from creditors under the federal and state law. Maximizing contribution is not just a strategy, it's an asset protection strategy. So, you don't want to just leave your funds. If you guys already have a 401k or an IRA, or let's just say you just have one, it's always good to have another one now that you are entering this arena, because I'm going to talk about how these things actually protect you. So if you already have money in a 401k and then you put some extra savings in an IRA that you set up, that'll also protect you another way from creditors trying to come after you. So the whole thing is, the whole theme of this class, if you don't haven't gotten it by now, is protecting your assets. You don't want anybody coming after them. The next thing is tenancy by entirety. This is great for married women because this is a form of co-ownership that protects jointly held property from one spouse's individual creditor. So let's say that, Miss Beverly, she, married the love of her life, but then the love of her life has a really bad gambling problem, or he is not very good with money, and he has all this debt, like he has tens of $1,000s of credit card debt. And she's smart, she's very financially savvy, but her partner isn't. So by you having, when you buy, let's say you guys end up buying a property together, you can do it in this, you can structure it this way so they don't try to come after, they don't try to come after the house, because you guys structured the vesting as tenancy by the entirety. Most people will do it, um sole proprietor, tenants in common, um or a single woman, a single man, an unmarried man, or an unmarried person, a man and a woman. But if you guys are married or you're buying a property with another person, another another person, a brother or sister, you want to do it tenants in entirety. So in case they have creditor issues, they don't come after the house. Domestic Asset Protection Trust is available in North Nevada, South Dakota, and Alaska. This allows you to make yourself as the beneficiary while you're shielding your assets from future creditors after seasoning period. So this is a really sophisticated way for when you become when you have high net worth. Um, so as we're getting ready to transition, remember, guys or ladies, asset protection is a strategy most that must be implemented before the threat happens. You guys cannot wait till when it happens to do it, because it's gonna come off as fraud. So when you start seeing that, oh man, I'm coming upon some money, my assets are expanding. These are some of the things that you need to start looking into, because again, God forbid something happens to you and somebody tries to come after you. If you don't set these things up ahead of time and you try to do it after the fact, the court will find that as if you're doing fraud. So let's move on to insurance and umbrella policies. Most of you ladies have homeowners insurance, and homeowners insurance is going to differ from your landlord policy. So insurance is one of the most immediate, immediate, accessible layer of asset protection available to any wealth builder. Before implementing complex legal structures, please ensure that you have the right coverage in place. So you want to think of your insurance as your first wall and legal structure, and your legal structure as your second. So, and together they create this fortress around what you've built. So, ladies, homeowner insurance policy is for if that's your primary. Now, let's say that you decided, okay, I'm going to keep this homeowner's insurance policy for this rental policy. I mean, for this rental property that I have. If you have any issues that's tenant related, chances are your insurance company has the right, they have the right to deny that claim because you have a homeowner's insurance policy. This is supposed to be your primary resident, not an investment. So when you ladies are getting ready to buy your investment property, do not get a homeowner's policy. You want to get a rental policy because that is specifically designed just for investment properties, not primary residences. And also, a note is rental policies are always going to be cheaper than your HOI or homeowner's policy. Business liability and E&O, that's the type of insurance policy that protects you from claims and bodily injury and property damages or professional errors. So let's say that you decide that you want to go ahead and you want to build something from scratch, and that's a lot. That's what people are doing now. Now, I know you guys were not interested in Detroit or Ohio, but they're selling, properties, distressed properties at $25,000. Now, let's say that you decide to buy this property, but you see that the property is beyond costly for repairs, and you just say, it's better for me to just tear this property down and just build on top of it. So let's say you go ahead and you do that and you hire people to go ahead and do that, and something happens to them and they get hurt. This type of insurance under your LLC will protect you for them to go after you. And then you already know that your auto liability will protect you from serious accidents in the event of a car crash or whatever. So let's say that you have a truck, you rented out a truck, and then these workers are using the truck to transport the materials to build that property on top of the land, and they get into an accident and somebody breaks their arm or their leg. By you having auto liability, that will protect you from them going after their assets. And all of this can actually be done under one insurance company instead of you having to have multiple policies. You probably will spend approximately maybe $200 to $500 more for those policies. But think of it this way: you get to have $1 million to $5 million coverage added to your policy. So you definitely, that's a non-negotiable. You must have homeowners insurance. Next up is tax strategy basics. Ladies, again, I am not a CPA. I know a little bit, but if you guys have questions, I am going to ask you to refer to your accountant. And if you don't have one, I can give you an accountant that can assist you. And actually, he's going to be sponsoring next Saturday's soiree, the homeowners happy hour. So he's not going to be there, but his information will be there, and I'll be sharing who he is and what he does for ladies like you next Saturday, May 9th from 4 to 6 at the Total Wine. I don't care if that's a shameless plug. I want you ladies to be there. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about your um, tax strategies. All right, so you have your depreciation. Your depreciation in real estate is very useful for real estate investors. So you ladies can deduct the wear and tear of your property over 27 and a half years of the residential lifetime, or 39 years if you have a commercial building. Even if the property appreciates in value, you still can claim these losses in your taxes. That's what the tax laws are made for. They are made for people who are investing instead of those who just claim a pay stub. Next up is your cost segregation. Your cost segregation is an engineering study that accelerates the depreciation. So depreciation is when you lose value over time. So let's say that I'm not going to say let's say that. I don't want to give any examples. I'm going to ask you to talk to a CPA to help you understand that. So let's say that you need to make the value of the property accelerate or go faster, there's a way to reclassify that in your taxes to show that it has a shorter lifespan on that property. And if you have a good CPA, they can assist you in doing that. When you do stuff like that, that allows you to have a larger deduction in your tax return versus the standard. Now, the next one is your 1031 exchange. So that means is when you, let's say you buy a single family home and you sell it, and if you want to defer the capital gains or the profit that you received on it, you can actually roll it into another property, but you must buy the same exact property in order to roll that in. So let's say you bought a house for 100, no, if you bought a house for 200, no, let's say you sold your house for $300,000, they allow for you to roll that the capital gains of $50,000 into the to another property. So again, it must be like for like. So if you're buying a single family home, you got to buy another single family home. If you're buying a apartment building, it has to roll into another apartment building. You can't go from a single family home to an apartment building or an apartment building to a single family home. Everything must match. Next up is your entity election strategy. So for your entity election strategy, what that is an LLC can elect to be taxed as an S-Corp. So as I had mentioned before with your LLC, you can structure it as a sole proprietor, and that's fine. But if you end up creating an LLC and you decide that you want to do an S-Corp, that is something that you would apply for through the IRS. And by allowing you to do the entity election strategy, that allows the owner to split the income between as a salary or a distribution. So what exactly does that mean? You might say, well, what does that mean, Kathleen? That means that you can, if you decided that you wanted to get partially paid a salary, but then you want to distribute it, or you can do it as a dividend. That's a really good tax strategy because that means with your dividends, you don't get taxed on that, and then you're only getting taxed only on the salary that you give yourself. So a lot of business owners will elect to do an S-Corp for tax purposes like that. And this stuff is legal. This is all legal. If you get a great CPA, they can walk you through that. If you don't have one, I can refer you to somebody. The next thing is your QBI deduction, the qualified business income deduction. I don't know. Does anybody here file an a Schedule C in their tax returns? Anybody? Anybody? No? Okay, that's okay.
I do. I
Oh, okay.
do.
So have you
Mm.
ever noticed in your Schedule C, it'll mention qualified business income deduction? Have you ever noticed that?
Nah, not necessarily.
No? Okay. Now, after what I'm about to tell you, you're going to pay attention. And I'm guilty. I always knew that it gave you more money back if you were filing under a Schedule C, but I didn't know why
Yeah.
it did that.
Okay.
So check this out. So
Mhm.
the qualified business income deduction. So what it does is, and I'm going to tell you, so this was created in 2018 and it gave small business owners, okay, sorry about that. It gave small business owners a gift that most
Let
people
me check.
never heard of. So if you own a pass-through business, meaning an LLC, your business income flows through your personal tax return. You may be able to deduct up to 20% of your qualified business income before you even calculate your taxes. So I'm going to give you an example. So let's say you own a business and it generates $100,000 in qualified income. So before the IRS calculates what you owe them, they let you subtract 20%. So if you take 20%, that's $20,000. So they're just going to only tax you for $80,000 instead of the full $100,000. So if you are in a 22% tax bracket, that $20,000 deduction saves you $4,400 in federal income tax and automatically just like that, and just because you own a business. So this is something that you definitely want to look out for. And the people who qualify for these are small business owners, real estate investors like yourselves, self-employed professionals like you, Ms. Beverly, entrepreneurs. There are income limits, and some professions are excluded. So you definitely want to talk to your CPA or your tax professional who performs your taxes for you. So the key point I want to point out to you, W-2s cannot get this deduction. Again, only those who file a Schedule C, who are self-employed, real estate investors, entrepreneurs, they are privy to this beautiful gift from the IRS. That's one of the few things that they will give us aside from taking our money. All right, so the retirement contribution as a strategy, you have solo 401ks and you have your SEP IRAs, and they allow for self-employed women to contribute substantially a lot more than anybody who had a normal or a regular 401k from their employer. So I'm going to give you an example because I thought this was pretty cool, and I hope that you appreciated the way I appreciate it. So again, most people work a regular job, and you can contribute only up to $23,000 per year on a 401k, and that's as of 2004. So that's the employee limit. But now you girls are getting into the investor arena. You guys are balling out. You guys have your portfolios are growing exponentially. Tanisha has her apartment building, her funeral parlor. So this is how wonderful this actually works for you as an investor. So when you are self-employed, you have the ability, you are both the employee and the employer. Because remember, we structured our business as an S-Corp. So you guys have your salary and you have your distribution, right? So you get to put money towards your 401k as a employee as and an employer. So just like as your employer will match dollar for dollar, you can maybe you can use that as a concept. So the solo 401k breakdown is as follows. You can contribute up to $23,000 a year, but as an employer, you can contribute up to 25% of your net self-employment income on top of that. So combined, you can shelter up to $69,000 per year from taxes. So remember that regular employee is only allowed $23,000, but as a employer and an employee, you can put in $69,000 in that solo 401k plan. So that's nearly 3 times more than the regular employee can put in their 401k. So then you have your SEP IRA. This is a simpler way to set up. You can contribute up to 25% of your net self-employment income. And again, that's up to $69,000 per year. There's no employee contribution. It's great for freelancers, real estate investors like yourself. So if you're real estate investors like yourself or side business owners. So I'm going to give you guys an example tonight. So let's say that you're self-employed and you earned $120,000 on, and a traditional employee making the same amount can only again put $23,000 into their 401k. But for you, you can put up to $50,000 plus away in your solo 401k, shielding all of that from any taxes this year while you're building up your retirement at the very same time. So the money you put in reduces your taxable income dollar for dollar. So if you contribute $30,000, so the math is as follow. You have $120,000, ladies, and now you want to put in $30,000 towards your 401k. You're only going to get taxed $90,000, not the full 120, where you would have been at a 22% tax bracket. So that's the beauty of you actually having your own business as investors, real estate investors. So that's again one of the benefits in buying under your LLC versus if you were buying under your name. This is a really, really cool plan. Definitely talk to your CPA about it once you start your business, your investment business starts exploding. Again, every single one of these strategies require a licensed CPA who works with real estate investors. Again, I can refer somebody to you. When you guys come next Saturday, I will give you that person's contact information. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about exit strategies. We're going to talk about no, my bad. I went way too ahead. So I want you ladies to not be selfish. So Miss Tanisha, I'm gonna put your business out there. You have a little boy, and I want you to take every single thing and I want you to pass it down to the little boy. If your daughters are inclined to listening to you, share it with them. But you owe it to your son to understand this. If you girls have nieces, nephews, daughters, I'm not going to say anybody. Tanisha, I pick on her all the time because when we used to work together, she picked on me. So I'm just returning the favor to Miss Tanisha when we work together. But I know some of y'all have daughters, so everything I'm teaching you, I want you to pass that on to your kids. So let's get into it. So generational wealth is not just about you leaving behind, but it's also you passing the information forward. The most durable legacies are built not only from trust and asset
No.
transfers, huh?
Sorry about that. I was telling someone in the house no, and I'm trying to hit mute, answer the question.
Oh, okay. Okay, so again, the most durable legacies are built not only from through trust and asset transfers, but through financial education, values, and the mindset that you instill in the people who come after you. One of the things that the wealthy have over us is that they pass all this knowledge on to their offsprings, and they pass it on to their offsprings, and they pass it on to your offsprings. The you can't do anything about you may not be able to do anything about your kids passing on the information that you've instilled upon it on them, but at least you already know that you can transition peacefully, knowing that you gave your kids, your offspring, your whomever is in your adopted kids, the knowledge, the information that you've amassed, you've acquired during this journey of you building your generational wealth. So let's go ahead and get into it. So ages 5 to 10, you want to set the foundation. You want to introduce the concept of money as a tool, teaching earning. You want to teach them savings and giving through allowance and chores. We have noticed that Michael Jackson's film had come out, and now all these testimonies are coming out through his parent, his mom, his nieces and nephews, and even his kids. One thing that stood out today was Paris Jackson said that the way that they were able to get toys from Michael from one of the best toy stores is that they had to read books to earn those things. So you could teach your kids through allowances and chores how to earn money instead of just giving it to them. You can also give them visuals like saving jars whenever they want to, spend, save, give. It's a very powerful tool, and um, it teaches them financial discipline. Another thing is um, opening custodial savings account or investment accounts. Through doing that, you go to your local bank, whoever you bank with or whoever you like to bank with, and you open up a custodial savings account that's under the kid's name, but you are signing on the account, so you're able to make deposits, withdraw money for, let's say you need it to, you want to use it to, I don't know, you want to gift them something, but the whole point of these custodial savings account is to save money instead of them spending. That's one of our biggest issues as a people is we lack financial discipline and saving, especially when we have kids. Kids will get money and say, "Oh my God, I want to buy this makeup set. I want to buy these Jordans. I want to buy these new cleats." Instead of saving, taking part of that money from birthdays, Christmases, first communions, or when they graduate college or graduate middle school, we blow all that money on whatever when we could just take a piece of that and put the rest of it in savings, investments accounts. Now, I have a little nephew. He's very much into investing. He already asked his parents to open up a Fidelity account, a Scott Trade account, a Charles Schwab account, and those investments account allow them to either invest in stocks or you can use a cash management account. And those accounts are good because that will keep you from having immediate access to the cash, and it'll train your mind to really save the money because you can't just go to a bank and just pull the money out. You actually got to log into the account and then you got to transfer the money. In some days, some cases, it may take a couple days. It may take the very next day, but that trains you to leave the money put. You can also compound interest with real numbers. You can introduce them to budgeting, and you can also teach them what the difference is between asset and liabilities. Anybody quickly want to tell me what the difference between an asset and a liability is before we move on? No, nobody. Okay. So the asset is the money that is coming in to you, and then liabilities is like credit cards, car notes, anything that you any sort of bills that's coming out of the pot to pay your bills. So again, your assets, money coming in, liabilities is money going out to pay towards your bills. Now, the next thing is your real world application. Your real world application is you teach credit building. You teach your kids about the fundamentals about what credit building is. You want to teach them about the utilization, your debt utilization. You want to tell
Mhm.
them you got to keep that under 30%. You want to teach them about tax basics, about filing their taxes, the differences between filing single, head of household, joint. You want to teach them um, how when you file with a W-2, what's the differences between that and your 1099. If you can't teach them that, have your CPA or your tax professional um, teaching them the differences when they file their first tax return. And then you also want to teach them the power of starting a retirement plan so early, so when they get in their 30s or 40s, they will already have a vast amount of money that they're not behind because they already saying that Social Security is going to be gone by the time I get to my 60s. So can you imagine the kids behind us? So we want to teach them that. And then when we get to 26 plus, we want to teach legacy integration. You want to teach them, introduce them to your estate plan because chances are the ones who actually retain the information, who listened to you, who stood by your foot and was listening to the information, chances are those are going to be the executors of your estate plan. So you want to introduce them to your estate plan, your trust, and your business structures because in the event that they pass on, they're the ones that's going to take over that property. They're the ones that's going to end up managing your properties when you're gone. Okay. And then now we're going to,
I just want to say one little thing.
yes,
They always speak about Social Security is going to be gone. Social Security is going to be gone.
right.
It won't be gone. It'll
Oh,
never be
good.
gone
I hate that.
because of the fact that the president that created it, I think it was Teddy Roosevelt
Mm-hmm.
in the 1920s, created that system because of the fact that when the depression hit,
Mm-hmm.
the suicide rate was super high,
Wow.
and it was to protect the Caucasian society.
Oh, okay.
So it also was to protect that society, the welfare system.
Mm.
So they're not going to do away with it because of the fact that when the depression hit, the suicide rate went astronomically high, and of course, those that were affected was white people.
Got you. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that. So hope you ladies learned something from Miss Tanisha. Before
Mhm.
I move forward to the next slide, we as a people, we do need to create family wealth meetings. I saw this on Facebook where a family actually held a meeting and they discussed their financial goals, what they did with the money that was given to them by their father, and the kids had to give an account with how they invested the money. So I'm not telling you to do that, but it's very important that we as a people, we need to have these type of conversations with our family so our kids understand how money works and what money can do for us. So I implore you ladies to maybe do it annually or semi-annually where you discuss your financial goals, you review your estate plan, you reinforce shared values around money. Another thing I wanted to share before I move on to the next slide is you want to create plans for your kids. So like your 529 plans, those are tax advantage educational savings plans that helps to fund your kids' college education. And if they decide they don't want to use the money to go to college, they can use that to go to being an investor just like you. You want to create, I just told you, this custodial accounts and invest on behalf of your kids. You want to create a family LLC. I've seen that with a family where this lady, she lives in Louisiana and she is creating that with her kids so they can get into investments. So when she's gone, they already have their own properties and they already know how it works. And also you want to get life insurance and you can use that policy for as another wealth transfer vehicle. So now let's talk about exit strategies. So there's going to be a time where you do not always want to hold on to these properties. And so let us get into it. So every asset you acquire should eventually have an exit plan, whether you're selling a property you've built from the ground up, transitioning a real estate portfolio, or your portfolio to your heirs, or you're winding down as an entity. Knowing your exit option in advance allows you to structure your asset in a way to maximize the value and minimize your taxes. So first things first is one of the ways that you can exit the property. So again, just to reiterate, if you see a property you like, aside from how you're going to pay for it, you need to have an exit strategy. So if I buy this property, am I going to be able to sell this property? I'm going to sell this property fast. Okay, am I going to hold this property? Am I going to be transferred to a family member? Those are things that you need to think about before you actually pull the trigger and you close and buy on this house, because some people do not want to get stuck with a property that are having a hard time dumping, where you end up selling the property at a loss. A perfect example is Lizzo. Lizzo is a popular artist who's known for accepting her body, but she's lost a massive amount of weight, so she's on a health trend. But she bought a house. I think she bought a house for like $15,000. No, $15 million, or in the millions, in the teens. And she sold at a loss. So you don't want that happening to you, because the worst thing is to buy something and to only sell it at a loss and you are at a deficit. So you always want to think of your exit plan. So for your exit plan, you want to ask yourself, okay, um, you want to ask yourself, am I going to sell to a third party? So if you sell to a third party, let's say you have a portfolio of investments, you have 20 or 30 properties, they already have a system in place, you have a property manager managing them, you have you have solid tenants that are paying their rent on time, they've been qualified beyond well, they're never late on their rent, these properties are located in beautiful growth areas, and then you decide, you know what, I'm going to sell all 30 of my properties, and you decide to sell it to somebody. That's one way to exit out. You definitely want to structure the sale carefully. You want to talk to an attorney about how you're going to structure that sale, and then you want to definitely that attorney you want to have speak to your attorney so to structure it well, so your realtor, if you're deciding to use a real estate agent to sell all 30 of them, everything is structured soundly so you make a sizable profit. Am I going to sell or transfer this to my family members? Am I passing this on to a business or property ownership, or to my children or family members? That's another thing that you need to think about in the event that you decide that you want to go ahead and exit that property. Next up, am I going to sell to my partner? Meaning, let's say you decide to go into this business with a partner. You create an LLC, but then you have an S-Corp and it's a partnership. Are you going to are you going to sell all 30 of those properties to that person, or a key employee that manage the property manager that manage your properties for you, and you decided, you know what, I'm just going to sell to him and sell to my key employee, and I'm going to exit? Or do you ladies plan on refinancing, meaning you're going to refi the property, take the cash out and buy another property? You can also refinance the property and remove yourself from title, and you can actually add somebody else on title and on the loan if you decide to do that. Are you going to exchange it? Meaning, if you sell it, you're going to go ahead and do the 1031 exchange that we talked about, where you're buying like for like, or are you just going to simply hold the property because this is a gold mine and I'm making very, very, very good passive income. So plan the exit before you enter. The best time to think about your exit strategy is before you acquire or launch the asset. The ownership structure, entity type, and documentation you choose from day one will either expand or limit your options much, much later in life. So here is your long-term wealth strategy in years. So the first year, you're building your foundation, year 1 to 3. You ladies are establishing your LLC. You have Anya LLC, Anya's Investing Corp LLC. So she created that on her first year. She decided to go to Wells Fargo and opened up her business account under Anya Investment Corp LLC. And then she goes ahead and she buys her first, she goes ahead and she launches and buys her first property or launch a six month emergency fund, insurance, and basic estate docs. Those are the things that she did her first year. So again, Anya went ahead and opened up an LLC. She opened up her business account. She went and got rental insurance on her first rental property. She developed 6 months of emergency funds, and she got basic estate planning docs in the event that something happens to her. Years 4 through 10, um, Miss Anya went ahead and she scaled her property. She went from one property to now three, no, let's say 5 properties. She went ahead and she used these advanced tax strategies. She went and got herself a kick-ass accountant who's doing her taxes, and they're using all these tax strategies that we learned in class, and she's saving money. Miss Anya went ahead and did a living trust. So in the event that God forbid something happens to her, she already has a proxy on her living trust that will make decisions on her behalf financially and health wise in the event that she's mentally incapacitated. And then she also, during that time before she got in, she wasn't unable to make decisions for herself. She maxed out her retirement every single year. So now her retirement is worth millions, and she has now I'm not gonna say millions. It's worth hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and she got 5 properties valued at $4.9 million. Plus, she's already knowledgeable in wealth. Then she goes to years 11 to 20. She already has all her assets in a trust. She's already gifting strategy to her daughter. Sorry. She's already created a family LLC for her and her daughter. And she has an exit strategy where she's going to give all her properties back to charity. Or she could just say, I'm just gonna leave all this to my kid. And then this was really supposed to be phase number 4, but somehow it became phase 3 twice. My bad. So at age 70, Anya is sitting pretty lovely. She's enjoying her life. She's traveling the world. Her daughter is managing all her properties for her. And now all her assets is in the trust. The family LLC is doing amazing. Now that she created this family trust, her daughter has already purchased 10 more properties under the family LLC, and she already created her exit strategy. She created family wealth or generational wealth because she started with 5 properties. Now it has been now like 15 properties. She's already have a beautiful retirement account that she's maxed out. She's already has her strategy. I'm sorry, her exit strategy that she's giving to charitable living, and she's created a legacy for herself. And that is what you call generational wealth. And she did all of that by leveraging this one property the first 3 years of her investment career. How cool is that? So, ladies, this is all attainable. Everything is all in time. You're not doing this is not an overnight process. Um, I'm here to guide you. I'm a real estate broker and a mortgage broker. I can help you. And the very last point I want to say, and I'm gonna say this quickly because I went over the time because I really enjoyed y'all company. So you want, again, I said this before in the very first meeting, you want to assemble your advisory team. You need to go ahead and structure what type of ownership that you want to do. Do you want to do an LLC? Do you want to do an S-Corp, a C-Corp? Do you want to do an LLP? Those are things that you need to talk to your accountant, and you also want to talk to a CPA about that. You also need to review your asset, your home. How much equity does it has in it? What type of real estate company real estate investment company that you want to do? Is this something that you want to buy something um annually, buy annually, or you just want to focus on one or two the first 3 years? You want to get yourself an investment account. You can get an investment account through Fidelity, Charles Schwab, Scott Trade, Robinhood, JP Morgan. You can set up all these different types of investments accounts. Real estate, how do you want to be identified? Do you want to do it under your business name or do you want to do it under an LLC? So those are the things that's one of the first things that you want to do. Second thing, you want to assemble your advisory team. Your exact advisory team consists of an attorney. I've said this throughout the presentation. The attorney is going to save you from lawsuits, save you from legal ramifications that could cost you dearly financially. You want to get yourself in that attorney is going to also set up your estate planning documentation in the event that, God forbid, not God forbid, God decides that to take you home. Like you've lived enough, you've imparted enough in people's lives, and it's time to go home. And that attorney is going to do that. You want to get yourself a CPA. The CPA is going to implement all these tax strategies that I talked about in your taxes to help you save money on taxes so you don't pay a whole bunch. You don't want to be left out of the party. You see all these people that we hear about that only paid a couple of $100s in taxes. Why can that not be you? That's what the CPA is for. And then you also want to have a financial advisor to help you align with your investments and also help you to look at different types of insurance because there's so many different types of forms of life insurance. I'm I'm also a life insurance agent, but that's too many hands in the pot. So if you already have an insurance agent, feel free to ask them to tell you what are the different choices that are out there for life insurance policies because you have IULs, ULs, whole life, term life policies, pre-need insurance. There's so many different ones, and you also have annuities. So let your financial advisor guide you on how to strategically plan your money. Third, you want to establish an estate plan. Now that you have this property, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to put it in a revocable living trust? Are you going to just do it under a will? Who's going to be your power of attorney? Who's going to be your healthcare proxy? You need to have that in place because life happens. Tanisha and I see it all the time. One minute you're here, the next minute you're not. So you want to have those areas in place. You need to have your affairs in order. Review your insurance coverage. Your insurance coverage. Know the appropriate limits you have on your property. If you have investment properties, you're not going to put a homeowner's insurance because, God forbid, the tenant did something. The insurance company has the right to deny your claim because this was supposed to be for a homeowner, not a tenant. And you want to know, you got to see how much does the rental policy, how much coverage does it cover in the event of a hurricane, tornado, those types of things, because it happens here in South Florida. And then you want to begin the conversation at home with your children, your partner, in other areas about your financial philosophy and plans, because again, we do not live forever. Life happens, things happen. Okay, so again, assess your current ownership structure, assemble an advisory team, establish an estate plan, review your insurance coverage, and then begin the wealth conversation at home. So we have come to the end of the road, ladies. I am so honored that you ladies gave me your time. I appreciate you. You entrusted me with your ears. You allowed me to teach you a little something this month. And I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You've taken the step towards your investing um, as a key to your education. So the next point of action is now to see where you stand with your financially? Where do you stand with your credit? Because remember, I told you in, I think, session number two that your credit is the key that opens the door, and then everything else will fall in place. There's so many different types of loans that are out there. If any of you ladies are not home owners, there is a program that you can actually get from a lender that will actually pay up to 5% towards your down payment. And this can come as a form of a grant. I feel bad that one of the listeners is not in this class tonight because she would have really benefited from this program, but she will catch the replay because she paid for this class. Um, so again, this lender will give you a grant that is forgivable. You do not have to pay this money back. The grant is through a lender that I work with, and they'll give you up to 5% towards your down payment, and it's forgivable. You do not have to pay that money back. And if any of you ladies do not own a home, that is a tool that you can enter into the program. Now, you probably say, well, I already have a house. Can I still qualify? Yes, if you have not bought a home in the last 3 years. If you have not bought a home in the last 3 years, you can actually get into this program, and then you could say, hey, I'm renting out this you can go ahead and rent out the house that you currently live in, and you can go ahead and use that as your very, very first rental vehicle. This is a great program. Again, my name is Kathleen with Pristine Green Financial Solutions. I am a mortgage broker and I'm also a realtor. I'm available Monday through Friday from 9 to 8, and on weekends from 10 to 4. And I make house visits. I can help you get into so many different programs. I know that you guys know family members that you feel need to have this conversation, and I'm available this week to talk to your family members about these programs and how they can help them. That program that I just told you that will pay your down payment, all you simply need is a 640 credit score. You don't need a 700, you just need a 640, and that'll get you into the door. I'm currently working on a loan right now that this person is a nurse and she makes $135,000. And this program is they're not that stringent on income. So you can qualify for this program. So again, my name is Kathleen. You can call or text me or email me. I do want to invite you to my event next Saturday, May 9th from 4 to 6 p.m. It is at the Aventura Total Wine. It's in the Plaza of the Chili. It is going to be a beautiful night. This is not your typical home buyers event where you're going to hear presentations. No, it is a game night. It's a game night centered around home ownership. Because you guys sat in this class for 4 weeks straight, you guys are probably going to win these prizes than the others because you guys, most of the stuff that I'm telling will be questions in the class. And there's going to be prizes, guys, prizes. And the best part of it all, the event is going to be sponsored by 1804 Restaurant, and he's going to be bringing Haitian pizza. Haitian pizza, you guys. I don't know if you ever had Haitian pizza, but it is so good, and he is my sponsor for the food. So you ladies are not going to leave hungry, and I'm giving away prizes. So again, it is free. I ask you to bring everybody you know. Well, not everybody, because it can only hold like 20, 25 people, but bring a friend. Again, it's free from 4 to 6 p.m. next Saturday, May 9th at the Total Wine in Aventura. After this event, I'm going to go ahead and send you the link. And for those of you who went to the very, very, very first class up until now, I'm going to email you, ladies, the notes from every single session so you have that. So you cannot not say that you don't have the information to pass on to your kids, to pass on to your sons, your daughters, your nieces, your nephews. I'm giving you the notes after this class, either tonight or tomorrow. So again, thank you so much, ladies, for joining the class. I appreciate you so much because you trusted me with this information, and I'm going to let you go because I've been talking too much. So if you have any questions, please answer them. Otherwise, you ladies are free to go. If you have anything you want to say, you're free to say them, but otherwise, you ladies are free to go because I know I've been rambling too much.
No, thank you, Kathleen. This is a great presentation. I really wanted to be a part of this class because of in my business that I'm in and what I'm currently doing with my estate planning. I do need to speak with you privately because I do have a couple of people that I have in mind that you will definitely need to probably do a session with.
Okay, that's fine. So I can do a Zoom with them the same way we did
Yeah.
this. We can do a Zoom. We can do it next week. Or you tell me whatever date and times that we can do
Mm-hmm.
it, and I'm more than happy to do it. And we'll do it for like 30 to 45 minutes, or whenever we run out of questions or whatever.
That'll be great. Do you talk about guardianship and oh no,
No,
we talk about the living will and stuff. What?
don't talk
No,
about that.
no.
Don't talk about
Okay.
guardianship. No, I don't talk about that. If you
Okay.
need someone, but I think you say you have an attorney. But if you need someone to talk about that, I can refer you to somebody.
Yeah, I will need a separate attorney for that. The one I'm using is just strictly for my personal stuff. This is other family members I'm trying to help out. And I
Okay.
think they would need to do something different than what I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So I'll get you an attorney for the guardianship. And then you let me know about when you would like to do the Zoom for your family members or friends.
Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you inviting me.
No, no problem. Anybody have anything they want to ask or share before we end?
No, very informative class. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing with us. We appreciate you.
Mhm.
Thank
And
you.
I will ask
Yeah.
you some questions on the now you got me like, okay, so you haven't bought a home in
3 years.
3 years, and this lender will give you 5% towards the closing costs.
Yes, they'll give you up to 5% to not closing costs towards your down payment. So basically you have 100% loan.
Mm.
And so if you end up buying something,
Is
go ahead. Sorry.
is it a traditional FHA loan?
Okay, that's what I was about to say, and you beat me to it. So if you buy an FHA, if you end up doing an FHA loan, you are subject to the you're subject to the lending guidelines. So every county has a maximum amount of maximum amount that you can get a loan for. But with a conventional loan, you're not subject to that. You can get, I think you can go up to like 1 million, I think.
And conventional meaning, again, refresh my mind. What's the difference between the
So
conventional?
So FHA is very, very forgiving or lenient towards buyers. The only you put a lower down payment. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. Because with conventional, you can actually put 3% down now. But FHA, you have better interest rates. But they ask for everything. They want to know, they look at your bank statements, they look at your credit, they want to know everything and they want an explanation for every single thing. Where conventional, there's not as much red tape, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's easier to
Mhm.
close. They don't
Yeah.
ask you for so much, and you close faster with a conventional loan versus an FHA.
But conventional is still meaning that your loan or your is set and won't fluctuate like an adjustable rate mortgage,
Yeah,
right?
so both of them are
Okay.
30-year fixes. FHA is a governmental loan. Conventional is not a government loan. And it's not a government loan. Conventional, you close faster. They don't ask you for as many things as an FHA loan does.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we gotta look into
I
that
have,
too.
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
One more question for you before you go.
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding the LLC and being employed, and if you talk about hiring or paying a person or have, paying a salary to someone. If you have like a child that's underage for working, is that something that can be done? And do you need to show it through the company or how? Because I haven't done that yet because I don't want to get involved in the child labor law, but I do have an assistant with my business, and it's my nephew or godson. So how does that work?
Okay, so initially what I was talking about the salary, I was talking about doing a salary for yourself. However,
Okay.
I know that there's a minimum age requirement for having a minor work for you, I believe.
Hmm.
And then there's like set amount of hours or something because they can't because they're minors. And
Right.
you can pay them income and you can document that in your taxes. Again, I'm recording this, so I'm gonna ask you to
Okay.
refer to your CPA, or I will get this information back to you by tomorrow because I am recording this.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything before we go?
No, ma'am.
All right, ladies. So thank you again for joining us. I hope to see you. I know I'm not going to see you, Bev, but I look forward to seeing you, Miss Tanisha, on the
I
9th.
know. I
You're
know.
coming? No, you're not.
No, I'm not gonna be here at all. I'm
Yeah,
just bummed that I'm gonna miss it.
yeah, it's gonna be nice. I'm gonna send you, we'll send you pictures, but I can't wait to see
Oh
you. But I can't wait to see you, Miss Tanisha, next week, Saturday from 4 to 6. And be prepared to have a good time and just enjoy yourself. It's no pressure. You're gonna have fun, you're gonna have drinks, and you're gonna have Haitian pizza.
Ooh. All right, all right.
All right. Thank
no.
you, ladies. God bless you.
Okay.
You too, babe.
Thank
Next
you.